Over the past few years, the country has claimed that violent video games have caused aggressive behavior, and in the past few months, violent video games have been targeted by the press. Still, many people debate it's not video games, it's parents, or the way violence is shown in our cities. For example, if a child plays a video game, the child should know the difference between reality and virtual reality.
I just think it's because, we all dream to be heroes someday, probably, and I know that military personnel are seen as, heroes by a lot of young people, and they also have this infatuation. I mean, boys will be boys, I will say that, We've had cowboys and Indians back in the day, little, Ralphie and his Red Rider and Christmas Story. I mean, shooting guns can be pretty fun, it's just a hobby for some people, and, it's the power that something's in your hand that can help keep you safe, and I think maybe it helps to have people feel like they could be that person in those military men's shoes and walking through the rooms, flashbanging enemies and, killing them for America. Who knows, I think it's more of an escapism in that way, and to kind of maybe some of the old throwback video games to like the Call of Duty World at Wars, you get to replay World Wars, which I have my own thoughts on too. It's like, oh my gosh, so many people lost their lives in those wars. Why should we ever want to reenact them? But, you have Civil War reenactments too, and people dress up to kind of like, provide people some entertainment and just see how it would have been. In some ways it can be educational to see how, wow, this really was violent, storming the Normandy beaches or something,
You can look up, I never come down, homeboy, tap dance on the cloud. You can look up, I never come down, homeboy, tap dance on the cloud. You can look up, I never come down, homeboy, tap dance on the cloud.
Violent video games have been targeted by the press and even talked about by officials like Vice President Joe Biden.
The young man not had access to his mother's arsenal. He may or may not have been able to get of it. And then we're meeting with outfits involved in social education and you in the video gaming industry.
Tap dance on the cloud. You can look up, I never come down, homeboy, tap dance on the cloud. You can look up, I never come down, homeboy, tap dance on the cloud.
I don't think violent video games are going to make anyone go out and shoot somebody. That I think there's a lot of other things that will compel them in their lives. Probably their family life has a lot to do with that, and they're probably escaping in the world of video games. I think it can make people maybe a little bit more, unsociable in some ways if they think that violence is always the answer. It could also kind of lead to like people maybe engaging in more like violent activities outside of school, that kind of thing. Young people anyhow, and maybe more eager to fight because they see it so often on the video games. But I don't think it can have too many positive effects. Let's just say that. But
they affect people greatly, especially young kids, because they get the wrong idea that shooting and guns and weapons and causing harm to other people is okay, when in reality it's not a good thing.
Now greetings to the world. Vice of the one big gangzilla alongside Skrillex. Them for no. Ooh-wee. Ow. We mash up the place, turn up the bass and make them all have fun. How we ablaze the fire, make it fun them. We mash up the place, turn up the bass and make some sound, boy run. And we will end your week just like a Sunday. We mash up the place, turn up the bass and make them all have fun. Skrillex ablaze the fire, make it fun them. We mash up the place, turn up the bass and make some sound, boy run. And we will end your week just like a Sunday.
I actually don't think so. I think that the rating system shouldn't even like allow parents to purchase like, you know, violent video games for their kids because, you know, it says like over 18 you can buy it. Like, I just don't think, I think we should take some of the power out of the parents' hands because there's some parents out there who probably shouldn't even be parents and they're letting their 3-year-old, 4-year-olds play, you know, games where, you know, they're hacking zombies' heads off or, you know, God knows what else, blood's flying everywhere, and it just like, it's bad for the rest of us in the world, I think, that want to, you know, keep our kids as innocent as possible for as long as possible, you know, while still, you know, showing them the ways of the world, of course. You know, you don't want to censor too much, but there's a fine line there, and I think everyone has to decide it for themselves. But for me personally, I just think that, you know, they could definitely have like a rating where, you know, not even a parent can buy a video game for their child, you know, under the age of like 13 or like 12 or something like that. Like, seems to be 13's a pretty round age when you start to get into your teen years that you're a little bit more mature, you know? It should be like movie ratings, I think.
Video games were made to allow children to escape reality, to allow them to do something they couldn't do in real life. Since then, it has escalated into a large industry involving millions of people, not just kids, but adults too. Many parents allow their children to play rated M games. Rated M for mature, this is the highest ESERB rating. This means this game should only be played by people 17 years or older, but many parents in today's society don't care, or think they have taught children the difference between all the things in video games compared to real life. Unfortunately, many parents just say yes so they do not have to hear their child plead and beg. The rating on a game is meant to warn parents. M is for mature audiences only. A game that is usually only rated M contains drug use, nudity, and almost all contain violence. T is the next rating, usually used for large franchises that attract children but still contain violence. E is meant for people of any age but are usually attracted by children 7 to 10. What is most debated is should parents allow their children to play these games. Parents are warned what it means and why the game is rated M at the register, but it does not stop them from buying the game for their children. Should children be allowed to play games like this, or is there too much to introduce to a young child at one time, let alone multiple times with friends?
The Entertainment Software Ratings Board, more commonly known as the ESRB, is the group responsible for rating computer and video games in the United States. Started by the Entertainment Software Association in 1994, the ESRB is a self-regulatory group, much like the MPAA, who rates movies in the United States. Their system of rating is often compared to the MPAA because they are both self-regulatory, and the ratings more or less line up with each other. G equals E, or everyone. PG equals E10+, or everyone 10+. PG-13 equals T, or teen. R equals M, or mature. And NC-17 equals AO, or adults only. These ratings can be found in the bottom left corner of the front of a games box. The rating is also shown on the back of the box along with rating descriptors. This allows parents to get an idea of why the game is rated as it is. E, which stands for everyone, is the lowest rating beside EC, or early childhood, but that rating is generally for educational games for very young children. Games rated E are suitable for children over 6. These are games with cartoonish, if any, violence and very mild language. Some current examples are Super Mario Galaxy, Wii Sports, and most racing and puzzle games. E can be somewhat confusing though. Just because a game is rated E does not mean that it is for children. Super Mario Galaxy is made so that children can enjoy the fanciful world with bright colors and fun characters, but adults can enjoy the higher levels of the game that take a great deal of skill. A better example is the racing game Forza Motorsport 2. This game is rated E, but is clearly aimed at a more mature audience since it is a very detailed racing simulator. E10+, or Everyone 10+, is the newest rating, only added in 2005. As the name suggests, it is applied to games for those 10 and older. These games may have a bit more violence, but still nothing very graphic. These games may also have more serious story and themes. T is the teen rating. These games are for those 13 and older. These games can contain a good amount of violence, but rarely have any blood. This seems to be one of the main differences between this rating and the next. You can shoot people in the head, but if there is blood, it gets bumped up to the next rating. They can also contain strong language, but nothing worse than you would hear in a PG-13 movie. M is one of the most important ratings. It stands for mature, meaning 17 and older. These games can be very violent and gory. They can also contain some sexual content, but nothing more or even as graphic as an R-rated movie. The language is also about the same as an R-rated movie. Every M-rated game doesn't necessarily have all of these things, but what is in it is listed on the back of the box. M is the only rating that stores will check IDs for, and most stores are pretty good about doing so. An underage kid has a far better chance of being able to purchase an R-rated DVD than an M-rated game. The final rating is AO, or adults only. You've probably never seen or heard of this rating. That is because there are only 25 adult-only games in America. Almost all of them are for the computer. Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo all have policies that they will not license an AO game for their video game systems. In conjunction with the fact that most stores will not sell these games, AO games are effectively banned from the general public. This is very similar to an NC-17 movie. Neither is allowed to advertise on television, and they both don't do very well financially. Videos of game footage on websites are also reviewed by the ESRB. Mature content must be placed behind an age gate. This requires you to enter your age before viewing the video. It's very easy to get around if you are underage, but at least they're trying. To obtain a rating, the game publisher sends the ESRB a tape of the game's most graphic content. This is viewed by at least 3 professionally trained raters, whose identities are kept secret to avoid outside influence. They each give the game the rating they think it deserves, then decide together on the final rating. If you want more information about a specific game, a great resource for parents to use is www.whattheyplay.com. This is a new site that reviews games not critically, but for content. They go through each rating descriptor and tell you exactly why the game has it. As the game industry grows and matures, parents need to understand that all video games aren't for kids. The government is constantly trying to federally regulate game ratings, but there really isn't a need. The ESRB is doing its job, but parents need to do their part and learn how the system works. Hopefully this video helped you understand the different ratings and how the ESRB uses them.
I mean, I think video games in general, the social effects I see are some getting so not evaporated, but trapped into these fantasy worlds that whether it be like a World at Warcraft like online game that's like forever perpetuating itself, never ending. They can sometimes lose themselves in that world, and rather than really make friends and go outside and play. I mean, I see that parents don't have as many restrictions on how long these kids can be playing games for. As long as they're upstairs not making trouble, they could be up there for 8 hours a day, and I think that's just a shame because nature is even more beautiful thing than stupid graphics on some video game. And kids should be getting outside, breathing the fresh air, playing a sport, just doing something adventurous and fun with their lives rather than sitting in their room, playing a video game all day long. So I think, regardless of violence, I think video games in general need to be curbed in a way, I guess, by just the amount of usage. I think sometimes it's getting to be too excessive. That's my opinion.
Hi guys, it's me, Francis. Sorry, I've been crying a little bit tonight. I'm just really upset. I don't know what to do. I'm just really upset. My Warcraft account has been hacked, and I didn't want to post a video about it. I just wanted to, because I was embarrassed, okay? And I told on my message board, on my guild message board, that I couldn't be on. And now it's been like 10 days, and now the Lich King is available, and I can't even fight him. Our guild got one of the first God damn it, they got one of the first Lich King kills in the game, and I fucking missed it, and I got fucking hacked. I'm so pissed off. I'm so pissed off. Have you authenticator? You fucking authenticator? I have one. You sons of bitch. You didn't. Ow! God! And I wrote you, James. I wrote you 10 days ago. You said 8 to 10 days. 8 to 10 days. God! Need that account. And then I found out it's been suspended because the hacker used it to spam crates out of you. Are you serious? I'm so pissed off. You listen to me, Blitz. I played that game for 5 Years I've played that game for 5 years. I've paid. God, I paid almost $1,000 to play a game. Oh, you mother. I'm so mad. Oh God, so fucking hard. So fucking. You mother.
Out in the street, they call it.
Welcome to Jam Rock, jump where the thugs them camp at. Poop now in a van back, it in a your handbag, your knapsack, it in a your backpack. The smell of your girlfriend. Some boy not know this. Them only come around like tourists on the beach with a few club sodas, bedtime stories, and pose like them name Chuck Norris. And don't know the real hardcore, cause sandals are no back to. The thugs them we do where them got to. And won't think twice to don't make them spot you. Unless you carry salad too. A beer tough thing come at you when trench town man stop laugh and block off traffic. Then them we learn, and them start pit. With the pin file long and it a beat rapid. Police come in a jeep and them can't stop it. Some say them a playboy rabbit. Get dropped like a bad habit.